Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It's Sunday morning. I was going to make this into two videos, but I think I'm going to put it all together in one because there's a common thread running through it. So it will become clear. It seems that I'm talking about three completely unrelated cases, and of course they are. But there's some lessons, learning points, whatever you want to call them, running through these three cases. So let's get into it. First, I want to start with the Idaho 4. Cara, the mother of Xana, one of the University of Idaho students who were brutally murdered by a knife-wielding maniac on the 13th of November, has spoken out for the first time. She spoke out on Banfield on NewsNation. It was an interesting interview. She said that the police weren't sharing very much with her. Most of what she was learning was from the news and from other family members. You know, this is an open and active investigation, and they're not going to share things that are crucial to the investigation with anybody, including the families. But it does seem that some family members know more than others. I don't know why that might be, but that seems to be the way it is. Something interesting that Cara did say was that Xana's father had replaced a lock on Xana's bedroom door. Either replaced it or fixed it just the week before the murders. And it's coming out, Brian Entin has talked about this, that not only was the front door opened with a code that you would need to be able to get in, but also at least some of the bedrooms were. So it obviously begs the question, were the bedroom doors locked? And if the bedroom doors were locked, how did the killer get in? Maybe they didn't have the bedroom doors locked. Maybe, when there was no one else in the house other than the roommates, they didn't lock their doors. But if the killer was able to lock the doors behind him or her, right, I'm going to be gender inclusive here. I think it's a male attacker, but there's always that chance it's not. That would explain why the surviving roommates weren't able to get in when they were concerned that there was an unconscious person. And that's what they called 911 about. We don't know the answer to that, of course. But if the bedroom doors were locked and there's no sign of forced entry, the police have told us, then the killer would have had to go through the exterior door and then through locked bedroom doors. So this is obviously somebody very well known to that household. Kaylee's family have spoken out again. They've been the most vocal of the families, and they've sat down and done an interview with Brian Entin. That's Kaylee's mother and father, plus her sister, who's probably spoke out more than anybody. They're of the mind now that perhaps some of the people that the police have cleared, I mean, when we say cleared, they're not a suspect at this time, that they've been cleared too soon. Now, they haven't named any names, and I'm glad they haven't, honestly, because social media is such a witch hunt, which I'm going to come on to. They want to know how the police have cleared the people that they have. What are their alibis? What information do they have? And if they are cleared, then I think they've got a good point that there shouldn't be any problem with the police disclosing why they think they're not involved. I mean, I think at the moment, with no answers, no suspect, not even a person of interest, the families are frustrated, understandably so. The families want answers, understandably so. Everybody following this case wants answers, but they continue to stand by Jack, Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, but there are people that they're suspicious of, understandably so. NewsNation also had a clinical and forensic psychologist on their show, someone called John Delatorre. Now, personally, I haven't heard of this person before, but he said some interesting things. So he doesn't think that it's an incel killing because incels don't normally become so radicalised, and there has to be something more personal more specific to these particular victims. I both agree with that, but also disagree with it. So let me explain. I think if this person was an incel, not necessarily identifying with the incel community online, if you will, but somebody who feels spurned, somebody who hates the type of woman that these victims represented. I've said for a while now, I've made several videos where I've said it doesn't necessarily have to be that Xana, Kaylee and Maddie were hated personally, but they represent a group, they're exemplars of a group that the perpetrator had grown to hate. And there could be many reasons for that. But I think any reason, misogyny, being part of an incel community, feeling spurned, the vast majority of people who you could categorise as such would not commit such a brutal slaying. Obviously, this is a highly unusual event. We don't have slayings every time someone is spurned, every time someone dislikes members of a particular group. There has to be something above and beyond the hatred. And I do think there are aspects of this crime that do look like a hate crime. But there's more to it. Now, whether we could say this is somebody who is mentally deranged, someone suffering from severe mental illness, I think you could say that. But John De La Torre was right in that this person had to manage their own emotions, they had to manage their own adrenaline. This was 4 stabbings that would have taken a lot of energy. This person has to be physically fit. This person has to be able to not only have the physical strength and stamina to do this, but also mental resolve. That they were able to do this really quite clinically. Now, we haven't seen the crime scene. We don't know how messy the crime scene was. We've heard it was messy. But any stabbings where you've got quadruple murders by stabbings is going to be messy just by the blood that would have been produced. So yes, of course it's going to be messy, but I think this person really was quite clinical. This wasn't a forensic attack. This wasn't somebody so angry, so enraged that they just slashed out at anybody they could find. The fact that they've been able to get into this house, the fact that they've been able to get in and out of that house through locked doors, presumably, and get away without being seen by anybody. This was a very built-up area, but there was a lack of security cameras, apparently. Apparently, this person wasn't caught on camera that we know about. Now, of course, law enforcement might have surveillance footage that they're not going to talk about, which is great if they have, but they very well might not, which leads me to believe that this person is local, very local. It also leads me to believe that this person wanted to do this, really wanted to do this for a very long time. And whether that's the residence was targeted because there were young women inside, or whether there was something more individual remains to be seen. Possible, very possible in my opinion, that this person has no previous, that they haven't done this previously. I go back to the profile that I produced. I think they've got experience in using a knife. I think they've got experience in killing, but that doesn't mean to say I think that they've killed humans before. I don't believe they're a serial killer. I don't believe this is part of an ongoing series of knifings, stabbings that this person has been doing for a very long time and just hasn't been caught. I think it's highly likely that this person has never murdered before, not humans at least, but they might be familiar with killing animals. That obviously creates a problem. John De La Torre said, well, there might not even be DNA at the scene. I think there probably was, not necessarily because the perpetrator cut him or herself, but because at least Xana fought back. We've heard from her dad that Xana fought back. So DNA under the fingernails, pulling hair, all of those things leaves a trace. Now, of course, if this was so very planned, then the perpetrator might have covered themselves almost from head to toe. They could have been wearing a mask, they could have been wearing long sleeves, gloves, balaclava type hat. All of those things would mean, even if the victims grabbed out, defensively, tried to scratch, tried to pull hair, tried to punch, they might not have got DNA on their bodies from the perpetrator. So again, all of this remains to be seen. But even if there is DNA at the scene, if this person hasn't committed a crime before that has meant that they've ended up with their DNA in CODIS, the law enforcement's database, it doesn't matter how much DNA they've got, they'd have to go the route of genetic forensic genealogy, which will produce results. It's much more hit and miss as to when those results will come than if the perpetrator's DNA was there in CODIS. So I understand the families being frustrated, I understand the public being frustrated, but this, I don't think, is going to be a quick prosecution. This is not going to be a quick arrest. If the killer was a student, then they'll be long gone. They'll have gone back to their home, they'll have taken up the benefits of working online, and they'll no longer be in the area. So, yeah, no quick arrest for this one, I don't believe. Now let's move over to Athena Strand. I was absolutely appalled by the amount of comments made towards Athena's stepmother, Lizzee. And this is Lizzee's Facebook profile. She made one post, just one post, about Athena, and everything about that post people ripped apart, saying one of our kids is missing was considered cold and wrong and it meant she did it. I've even seen someone say there's no emoticons in this post. So what? She's got evil eyes. No, she doesn't. Quite rightly so. People are saying that people on this thread should apologise and be embarrassed. Absolutely they should. I've not read all 3.8k comments, but there are people here who at least are big enough to apologise. But some of what was said was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. But that's social media all over. I keep commenting and I lose subscribers every time I say this. That why do people do this? Why do people feel justified that they've got to jump? Every time a kid goes missing, they jump on a specific family member. This gives me Gannon Stouch vibes. This is another Letitia. Within hours of the child going missing, people had already hung, drawn and quartered Lizzee Strand. Absolutely appalling. I didn't see nearly as much negativity towards the biological mother, Maitlyn Gandy, which at least is something, I guess. And she's been putting out some really heartfelt posts about Athena. She says, I want the world to know my baby, my first true love, the reason I breathe. This is Athena in her home in Oklahoma when she was 3. I'm not sure why it popped up on my Facebook now, but I love my daughter beyond words and I will always love her. And she says she can't explain the anger she feels. My princess was taken from me from a sick, cruel monster for absolutely no reason. Athena is innocent, beautiful, kind, intelligent, and just the brightest, happiest soul you could ever meet. I don't want her to be the girl known as the one murdered and discarded by a monster. I want everyone to know, every single person in this world, that this is my baby, and my baby was taken from me. I want everyone to know her face and her voice, and just what a wonderful person she is. Her favourite colour is pink. She loves to dress up like a princess. When she grows up, she wants to be a Viking princess, just like her Viking daddy, with lots of tattoos everywhere, and hair as long as Rapunzel's. She loves all animals and all people. She loves jewellery and all things shiny. Her favourite fast food joint is McDonald's. No, she would eat it 3 times a day, every day, if Mommy and Daddy had allowed it. She loved all people. She really loves makeup, doing Mama's and Sissy's makeup. Athena goes crazy for candy and sweets. She loves swimming and jumping off diving boards and being outdoors. She loves her 2 baby sisters with all she has. She's the best big sissy. Athena loves school, drawing and laughing. Athena has the best smile. She thinks farts are hilarious. Athena is loved by Mommy and Daddy and all her sisters, many aunts, uncles, cousins and grandparents. She's just a beautiful child. Athena's case and the trial against the absolute monster who took her from me may well be moved to another county or district in Texas due to the large community involvement, which I am grateful for. Please make Athena your profile picture and share her story and talk to your friends, family, co-workers and everyone who you can find to listen. I do not want the bastard that took my baby from me and brutally murdered her to go to any city, town, county, state or country without every single person knowing her face. She no longer has a voice, but I will be the best voice I can as a mother for her, and I will not stop. Pink out for Athena. But then we have to turn to the monster. This is the monster that took my baby from me and this world. You will know her name, Tanner. Her name is Athena Presley Monroe Strand. I know your date of birth, 8/8/91. Do you know hers? I will make damn sure you learn what you took from me and her daddy. The mugshot for Tanner Lynn Horner, 31, has been released by Wise County. This is the man that is being charged with the kidnapping and murder of 7-year-old Athena Strand. Charges: aggravated kidnapping, capital murder for a person under 10 years of age. His bond is set at $1.5 million. This is Tanner Lynn Horner. And Tanner Lynn Horner has got no previous criminal record. There's an accusation of RAPE against him. His alleged victim saying that if people had listened to her, well, things might have been very different. But I've looked for a criminal record for this guy. I can't find one. I know other creators have looked, can't find one. This guy was a FedEx delivery driver. He kidnapped Athena from a very, very rural property. This is where Athena lives. This is Athena's property. This is Athena's house. This is several acres. I've seen 5 acres, 6 acres. Athena's granddaddy said that it was 10 acres. So this is a very rural property. They're very spread out. You would think a kid playing out on their own property, just playing out on the driveway there, on this driveway, would be the safest place in the world. This is not the middle of a big city with hazards and dangers all around. This is very rural. Athena, whatever argument she had with her stepmother, she stormed outside and was playing around on the driveway. Who would have thought that she wouldn't be safe in that environment? But yet a FedEx driver came along, kidnapped her and murdered her. Law enforcement believes that she was murdered within an hour of being kidnapped, and then she was discarded in a ditch. We see delivery drivers all over the world. This is a long driveway, but he was able to see her. Presumably this was just a crime of opportunity, and snatch her up. While thousands of people decided to hang-drawn quarter Lizzee, Athena's stepmother. The truth of it was a crime of opportunity by a sick monster. He has confessed to this, probably because he was banged to rights. The digital evidence caught him. But it begs the question, how many times are people going to focus in on innocent family members? Innocent people who are living through the worst nightmare that they've ever experienced, that the average person cannot imagine how they would deal with such a nightmare, and I hope you never have to. But some of us have to. Some of us have done. William Shakespeare said, "Hell is empty and all the devils are here." And he was absolutely right. The devils are walking the earth. But does that mean to say that children shouldn't play out? No, they should be safe to play out on their own driveway. It's the sick, twisted individuals that we need to target here. that we need to bang to rights and throw the full force of the law upon them, not the family members. We've seen it with the Idaho 4 trying to implicate Cara, Xana's mother, as being in some way connected, not responsible for, but her arrest, her criminal background, somehow connected. Every single time. The amount of people who blamed Michael Vaughan's parents, the amount of people who've blamed Summer Wells' parents. Now, I know I'm definitely going to lose subscribers by saying this, but yeah, there's a lot of behaviour that Don and Candice Wells have done. I'll be the first to agree with you. But when people said that Summer Wells could not be kidnapped from her rural property, well, Athena Strand was. Athena Strand's property is even more rural than Summer Wells. You know, at least in Summer Wells' case, there was neighbours relatively close by. Blue Roof Don, Jodie Sue, Fred Hill, the Goalies, Mary Sexton, who lives here? I've forgotten the name of who lives here. But yeah, each one of these properties is a few acres. But there's neighbours all around. Frank Light just up the road here, registered SO. Dodgy things going on there on Light Hollow Road. If a FedEx driver was able to come along, kidnap and murder Athena, playing in her own driveway, then shouldn't everybody just rethink how they've handled the Summer Wells case that is going on almost 18 months now? Could a delivery driver, the person who said that they saw the red or maroon Toyota Tacoma, somebody who frequents the area regularly, isn't it time to rethink the Summer Wells case in light of what we've learnt? Every case teaches me something. If you open your mind, it will teach you things too. Every case that we cover in the true crime community teaches you something if you just open your mind and listen. All right, guys, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. I've been Michelle. I hope you're well. I'll see you in the next video. It's goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer. Bye, guys. Go.